Hello.
Live has started.
Are people funneling in, Kevin?
Yeah, we got 2 people watching so far.
All right. We'll leave it just a few more minutes for some others to join. Got a couple others just hopping in right now, so that's great. Welcome, everybody. While we go through this presentation, unlock the power of your numbers. If you have any questions or anything that comes up, please feel free to chat. We'll get to your questions as we progress through the presentation. But any questions that come up, please just add those in the chat, and we'll address them. It'll be more of an interactive chat, so when something comes up, I'll be sure to address it like in that moment, so it's relevant. And really, just feel free to ask any questions that you have. We'll just wait for 2 more minutes, 1 more minute. And we will jump in. So my name is Chad Gagnon. I am CEO of Blue Skies Bookkeeping. I appreciate everyone attending this evening or later this afternoon, depending on where you are. A lot of people that are attending are from the Power Washing Association, Power Washing North America Association, and I welcome you. We are in a partnership with the organization with bookkeeping services. And so that's what Blue Skies does. We are a national provider of bookkeeping, simple CFO and CPA services, really to the home services industry. We actually specialize in power washing and pressure washing companies. Several of our clients are from that industry as well as window washing. So we are very familiar with your business. If you are from one of those types of companies, that industry. So we're very familiar with bookkeeping in that space. We understand through our chart of accounts, we understand how your bookkeeping needs to be categorized, how it needs to be done. And we update bookkeeping on a weekly basis and report on a monthly basis. So you know the status and health of your business really at any given moment. And that's important for really making operational decisions and helping you understand your business. That's what we really pride ourselves in. And so Blue Skies, again, we provide bookkeeping, simple CFO and CPA services to the home service industry. An overview of what we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to talk about your financial position. I have a series of questions that I would like everybody here to answer. You'll basically score your business and we'll tally up and you'll get a good idea. And I'd like everybody to chat your score here in the comments so everybody can kind of see the spread there. And I'll explain a little bit about how the scoring works and what that actually means. So we'll talk about your financial position of your business. We'll go through understanding your P&L. We got some simple views that you can really dive into with your own business to understand the financial health and status of your business, really focused on the P&L. And then we'll talk a little bit about planning and budgeting. It being May, we're basically in the middle of the year, almost halfway through the year. So what are you doing with your business for planning and budgeting for the second half of 2025, as well as getting into 2026? You need to start thinking about that and having a plan, and at least talking to your team, your leadership team, to be able to set yourself up for success in the near future, as well as 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. So with that, your financial position. Again, I have a series of questions for you, and I'll explain how this works. Here's question number 1. I clearly understand the financial position of my company. If your answer is yes, give yourself a score of 1. If your answer is kinda, give yourself a score of a half a point. And if your answer is no, 0. I clearly understand the financial position of my company. Next question. I clearly understand the top 3 issues facing my business. Again, 1, half a point, or 0. I understand what's not a major financial issue. I have a plan of action dealing with those top three issues, whatever the top three issues your business faces. My financial information is delivered to me in a simple to understand way. I am clear on what a great reporting package looks like. My financial information arrives to me at the same time each month in the same format. I can complete my monthly financial review quickly in less than 15 minutes, and that's like on a monthly basis. I make decisions based off of my financial information. So with that, how did you score? Very curious what people's totals were. You feel free to chat us so we can see what those scores are. I would say a healthy organization would be between a 7 and a 9. A very healthy organization for that matter. Most or average businesses fall between 4 and 7, and then everybody else kind of falls below the 4 mark. So very curious what kind of scores we have out there. I see a 4, I see a 2, there's a 3, we got a 1, a 7. So kind of all across the board. Um, the questions that were asked are very important in terms of on a monthly basis to be able to financially run your business properly based on the numbers. You need to be able to see your business financially every single month. I would argue every single week so you can make operational decisions. You need to see the numbers in the same format so that you can see the consistency and the trend of things on a monthly basis. You need to get that information to you very, very quickly, and you need to be able to make decisions on those numbers. And we'll dive into what that means right now. So understanding your P&L. P&L is comprised of really 5 major metrics. First, net sales or total revenue, the total amount of money earned from selling goods or services before any expenses are deducted. COGS or cost of goods sold, and I'm sure you're familiar with some of these, or at least have heard of them. The direct costs incurred to produce or deliver the goods and services sold by a business. Next is gross profit margin, the amount of revenue remaining after subtracting cost of goods sold, representing the profit from the core business activities, so without any overhead. Next is overhead or operating expenses, the costs associated with running the day-to-day operations of a business, excluding the cost of goods sold. And then lastly, and everybody's favorite, the net income or profit, the total earnings of a business after deducting all expenses, taxes, and interest from revenue. These are the 5 core metrics that you should understand and know every single month what these numbers are so you can make better decisions. And so this is a very simple way that I really like to look at my business, or really any business for that matter. I got my net sales at the top. I got my cost of goods sold. I like to see that as a percentage, because a percentage should never change on a monthly basis when it comes to cost of goods sold. It may fluctuate up and down a little bit, but you should know your mark and what healthy is. And so in this situation, it's 38%. Gross margin is 62, the inverse of that. Overhead, you see the number, the total dollars, as well as the percentage there. And grand total expenses, which is COGS plus overhead, 81%, which is left with 18% profit margin. You should know, again, these numbers every single month. As they fluctuate, you should be able to go in, dive a little deeper, and understand why. Why did it go up? Why did your overhead go up? What changes did you have? Did you spend a lot more money on supplies for your business? Did you hire 2, 3, 4 technicians? Is that why your overhead jumped? And being able to look at that as a percentage, see if the hires that came in actually support the revenue that is coming in at that mark. You need to know these 5 metrics every single month and then dive into more specifics as to like why these numbers fluctuated or changed. Now that's difficult because typically what you see is a P&L like this, and there is a lot going on here. This is a P&L straight out of QuickBooks, and I see this every once in a while, and I try to understand like how anyone can really make any decisions based on information like this. So it's why I showed this view, being able to see the numbers in its simplest form. That's where you need to be able to start, because when you see numbers like this, people expect you to be able to understand your business and make decisions off of these many numbers is almost impossible. So you need to simplify it, and you need to keep it simple. So talk about how you need to know your financial position and your numbers, but you also need to simplify it. So let's take a look at some of the ways that I like to simplify information, because I feel like when you look at information this way, mainly via graphs, you can see trends and be able to identify things a lot easier. And so in this simple graph, the blue line represents a revenue trend in a given time period. This is a year. And the green line is representing the trend of revenue going up throughout the year. So that's great. For the entire year, the revenue is trending up, and that's what everybody hopes for. But there's some other things in this graph that we need to start asking questions about. So why did our revenue go down 2 straight months? Why was there a negative growth or negative trend for 2 straight months with our revenue? What happened? Is that seasonality? Did we not spend as much on marketing, and so we felt the adverse effect of that? What happened for that 2-month period that drove revenue down? Even though the revenue trend for the entire year is up, something happened in those 2 months. What happened? You need to ask yourself those questions, figure out what was different, what changed, what is the reason that drove revenue down, and more importantly, actually, what drove it up after that period as well. Asking yourself why. Next graph, same blue line revenue trend, but add another line in here, which is representing a cost of goods sold. And so revenue trend's the same, it's up. We still have that dip in the middle of the year. But there's some other things that I'd like to point out. So revenue ticked up in April, but our cost of goods sold ticked down. That's actually a good thing. That means that it cost us less to produce the service when our revenue went up. That means that we gained some gross profit margin or some margin there. That's great news. You can see that when you simplify the information and just look at 2 numbers on a monthly basis or across the year, you can see these types of trends. So what happened? Why did that happen? You should ask yourself that question. Different scenario, when the revenue went down for 2 straight months, in August, we were significantly down, but our cost of goods sold was actually up. So in this situation, it costs us more to produce less service. Why did that happen? Our revenue was down, but our cost of goods sold went up. We actually lost efficiency. We lost margin here. Again, we need to ask ourselves the question, why? Why did this happen? In order for you to be able to fix the issue, you have to first be able to simplify, look at the numbers, and then find trends like this and ask, why did this happen? Let's take a look at another scenario. So these are 2 same revenue trend. And the yellow line represents overhead. So our revenue went down in the middle of the year, but our overhead also went down. So we had less money coming in. We recognize that. And our overhead went down, meaning we spent less money on things like supplies, expenses, as well as, maybe people or technicians. And that's a good thing. In most cases, we saved some money. Our revenue went down, so we cut our expenses. That's great. Why did we do that? Did we even know that we did that? Very important thing to really understand and know. Later in the year, revenue went down, but our expenses went up. And so in this type of situation or scenario, we're losing margin. Again, we would never know this if we didn't simplify our numbers, look at them in a graph type of view, and be able to easily recognize the trends. Why did it happen? So things to look out for when you simplify the numbers. Always ask why. Why is something the way that it is? Don't be afraid to ask why. It's a very simple question. When you break down the numbers, they speak for themselves, and you need to figure out why things are the way that they are. Make sure that your bookkeeping and your transactions are properly categorized. The only way you're going to be able to see the numbers properly is by making sure that they are categorized properly. Otherwise, it could be hiding in your COGS when they should be in your overhead, or vice versa. Or maybe you're not tracking all of your expenses. Maybe you're not categorizing all of them. If you don't, then you're not going to be seeing the true numbers. You need to make sure that you always record even the small expenses, because those add up. And benchmarking is very important. You need to be able to compare your business to other similar businesses in your space. And that's a luxury. That is a tool that you get with Blue Skies, is being able to see how you compare to other businesses in your space. And I think that that's very important, because it allows you to be able to see, okay, my COGS are where they are, but how does that compare to other similar businesses, whether in power washing, pressure washing, window washing, whatever the business may be. So let's look at some benchmarking examples here. So window washing benchmark for COGS, cost of goods sold, is typically what we see around 45%. If you were to track your COGS against the benchmark in the window washing world, in the window washing industry, you can see that maybe your company is roughly like around 41% as you trend throughout the year. Why is that? And that's a good thing, because you are spending less to be able to produce a service as it compares to other businesses in your space or competitors, which means that you are more profitable. In the home cleaning industry world, the benchmark is 60% COGS, very labor intensive business. Your company may come in, and we have companies like this that come in roughly like around 41%. It costs significantly less to produce that service than the competitors. Now, this is an interesting scenario, because one would say that you're much more profitable, but others would say that you're not spending enough to produce the service, and maybe you're providing a bad customer experience. Those are some questions that you need to ask yourself. So benchmarking and comparing your business to other similar businesses in your spaces is important, because in this scenario, significantly less to produce a service. Some would argue that you're not spending enough. Maybe you should increase your labor costs in order to provide a better customer experience. Here's a different example. In the landscaping world, the benchmark at 30% overhead. And this company in this example is running roughly 42%. They spend significantly more than the competitors, meaning they generate less profit. So understanding your business and your industry is very important in how you compare to others, just because that's the standard, and you need to know where you really fit in that space. And this is a tool that Blue Skies provides, and we're very proud of being able to provide benchmarking services. So the last thing that I really want to dive into is planning and budgeting. So we talked about simplifying. Well, we first talked about understanding your financial position and asking yourself those simple questions, and being able to know and understand your business on a weekly and monthly basis. We dove into some scenarios and simplifying the numbers, so you know what to see, and being able to recognize trends and asking yourself the question why. And then we talked a little bit about benchmarking, comparing your business to other similar businesses in your space. Now let's get into planning and budgeting and what that means to your business now looking forward. Have you ever asked yourself this question? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want your business to be in 3 years? It seems like a very difficult question, but if you actually sat down and thought about it, you can come up with probably a pretty simple answer. But I'm willing to bet that a lot of you haven't even, asked a question like this. Like, where do you see yourself? Where do you see the business in 3 years? What is your 2025 plan? What are you doing right now to set yourself up for success this year? What is your goal this year? What is success for you in 2025? Do you have a plan for it? If not, you need to start figuring out what this looks like and shooting for a North Star, a goal, so your business can progress and move forward and outperform a lot of other businesses in your industry. Because a lot of businesses, a lot of home service companies are not asking themselves these simple questions. You need to plan ahead. You need to budget for growth. And we talked a little bit about those numbers. So in 3 years, Do you want to have $20 million in revenue? Or I'm sorry, $20 million, $2 million in revenue? Maybe you do want $20 million in revenue. Maybe you want something a little less. Maybe you want something a little bit more. You want to shoot for the stars. You want a 20% profit margin. Everybody wants to be profitable. It means more money for the business, more money for yourself. What are the big initiatives and goals that will get you to $2 million in 3 years? What's going to get you to a 20% profit margin? What are those big initiatives? Have you documented those? Have you talked about them? Have you talked about them with your leadership team? How do you expect to get to $2 million in 3 years if you don't talk about them and get those big initiatives written down, documented, and start planning for them? So talking about planning to get to $2 million in 3 years, in 1 year, maybe you need $1 million in revenue. Maybe you need 500,000. Maybe you need a little bit more. What is necessary? What is it going to take to get to $1 million in revenue? Maybe you need 15% profit margin. Start working towards that 20% and get to 15% in 1 year. So what are the big initiatives and goals that will get you to $1 million in 1 year? Have you talked about those with your leadership team? Have you documented them? I mean, I'll go as far as to write them down and put them on a sticky note in front of yourself every single day. What are the 2, 3, 4 big initiatives that are necessary in order to get yourself to $1 million in the next 12 months? You need to get there in order to get to $2 million first. You need to build a plan. Document your 3-year goals. Where do you want to be in 3 years? Write them down. Get them in front of everybody. Get them in front of everybody on a consistent basis. Everybody on your team needs to be able to see these goals I would argue, almost every single day. What you focus on expands. Plan out your 1 year goals. So in order to get to your 3-year goals, you obviously need to have goals in the next 12 months that lead up to that. So plan out your 1 year goals, whatever they might be, the big initiatives that are necessary in order to get you one step closer to $2 million in 3 years. What do you need? Do you need more resources? Do you need more technicians? Do you need more efficiency on your team? Maybe you need some technology solutions to be able to make yourself a lot more efficient. What do you need in order to set yourself up for success? What is it going to cost you? You got to be able to budget these things out. When will you pay? When will you pay for anything that you're making in terms of an investment for your business? Because cash flow is obviously a very important component of all this as well. So because of that, you need to build a budget. Forecast out your sales for the next 12, 24, 36 months. Blue Skies has a 36-month forecast. We look out 3 years. We have each month budgeted out for the next 3 years. You need to be able to look at your business that way. So forecast out your revenue and your sales for the next 3 years by month. And you can build in seasonality into your business. You can build in, maybe you're going to make a big investment, maybe hire a sales team. You can build that into your budget and see and project out how that's going to impact your sales. Forecast out your COGS. Understand and know how much it's going to cost you to produce a service. And if you make investments in more efficient type, methods, whatever they might be, forecast out that in your COGS as well. Plan out your expenses month by month, each month. That way you can save up cash or know when you need to spend and have cash for some of your big investments. Maybe hiring that salesperson or hiring more technicians or a technology solution that's going to make you a lot more efficient. You need to be able to plan out those big expenses all by month and all by category. And this is a simple view that I like to see in terms of our sales in a month by month basis, forecasting out the COGS. Now, this is just 3 months, but this goes on for 36 months, forecasting out what our COGS look like by percentage. And then we also have our overhead and big expenses that we track as well. When that big piece of equipment that costs $20,000, when is that going to hit? If you don't plan for it or budget out and build it into a forecast like this, then you'll lose sight of it. And then there's a good chance that maybe you don't even have enough cash, or you didn't focus on your sales enough to be able to cover that type of expense that's going to help you get to the next level, part of your 1 year, 3 year plan. So you got to be able to forecast out your cash flow. First, in order to do this, you need to know your plan for the next 36 months. Next, How much cash will you have in the bank by month? Always check and track your bank balance. That's something that you should always know. I know Blue Sky's bank balance every single day. I check the bank balance every single day. In order to be able to forecast out cash, you got to be able to know the bank balance every single day and know the trend of it and know when things are coming out, know when big expenses are coming out and sales, receivables and things are coming in. You need to be able to forecast all this out and plan for the dips. So with this example, this is over a 12-month period, cash flow, just putting it on a simple graph, the bank balance on a month-by-month basis. By projecting out on the expenses in the 36-month forecast, there's a big expense that happens in September, okay? By looking forward through just simplifying the information like this, you can easily see that, okay, this expense is happening in September, so what are we going to do right now to save up for that? How are we going to make sure we're on top of our receivables, make sure that we're cutting expenses maybe in the springtime or early summer to be able to handle this dip in cash that's coming in because we have some big expenses, or maybe we have slow revenue months. Got to be able to forecast out your cash flow. So to summarize, know where you want your business to be in 3 years. What is the 3-year picture? What does that look like? Where do you want to be? What does success look like in 3 years? Same question for 1 year, but that 1 year needs to align with your 3 year. You're going to have a lot more success hitting that 3-year goal when you know where you want to be in the next 12 months. Budget your plan. Always have a budget on a month-by-month basis. Blue Skies goes out 36 months, and I would love to have a conversation. If anyone here, has questions about budgeting and looking out 3 years when it comes to building a plan, we would love to chat with you. We can definitely help you out with that. We have a lot of experience with that. Know your cash. I like to know our cash balance, our bank balance on a monthly basis or on a daily basis, monthly and daily. Always know your cash stance. That will allow you to have a lot more transparency and make better decisions when it comes to spending. And always remember with your planning, whether it's 1 year, 3 years, whatever it might be, adjust accordingly. You don't have to have a 3-year plan and stick to that very single exact plan all the way through 3 years. You can adjust accordingly based on how your business is changing, based on how the industry is changing. You can adjust quarterly, but the only way you're going to be able to do that is by having a plan in place first. So if you want to learn a lot more about bookkeeping, budgeting, planning, how we might be able to help your business when it comes to these types of services and understanding your financial position, we would love to help you. Please feel free to schedule a demo with us at www.yourblueskies.com. There's a demo button in the top right-hand corner. We'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you, learn about your business, learn about your specific situation, maybe some specific questions that you have, and we would be absolutely delighted to be able to help you. It's something that we take a lot of pride on, helping home service businesses, small businesses, especially businesses in this industry, power washing and pressure washing. So please feel free to schedule a demo with us at yourblueskies.com. And if you sign up for our services, mention the Power Washing Association in North America, and you will get your first month of bookkeeping for free. Here's the website. If there are any questions, please let us know. But schedule a demo and take advantage of your first month of bookkeeping with us for free. If you have any questions, please feel free to chat. And I don't see any questions coming through, so I expect everybody to schedule a demo at yourblueskies.com. I appreciate everybody's time. I hope you learned a little bit about running your business by understanding your numbers and your financial position and keeping things simple. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.